on time. It is Tuesday, February 2nd. We're here for Yoga Flow. So take your time. If you're just organizing at home, we still have another person or two coming in. So here at the studio, so just get comfortable. And same thing here. If you all want to grab blankets, sit up on a blanket or two, do it. If you feel like stretching your legs out, do. And then just lengthen up through the top of your head. Let yourself enjoy your breath coming in and going out through your nose. So be mindful. Let your hands go to a comfortable place for your shoulders. You might even want to turn your palms up. You may feel better to let your hands come and cup them so the palms face up. Maybe try a couple of things that feel you settle into where you feel just the best in your shoulders. And you can enjoy lengthening upward, watching your breath coming in and going out. Just add a little bit of movement. So it feels very natural when you exhale to come a little bit forward, and when you inhale to come back upright. And it doesn't matter how far forward you go. Just take your time and let the breath easily carry you forward and back. Just enjoying feeling the breath move you gently and easily. And then the next time that you come forward, let yourself stay forward. So if you're in your chair, you can separate your feet and bring your hands a little down farther towards the ground. If you're on the floor, feel free to walk out more if you'd like. Let yourself enjoy coming forward with your back long. If you're okay to let your head hang, do, as long as that doesn't put too much pressure into your low back. So if it feels better to stay up higher and keep the back of your head in line with your spine, that's fine too. And then we'll slowly start to rise on back up, letting our fingertips come out onto the floor beside us here now. Let's tilt our head to the right ear towards your right shoulder. And then imagine that your head is just getting heavier and heavier. You're going to roll down sideways through the spine here. Only go as far as you can. And you can use your hand for support if you're on the floor. You can hold on to your chair if you're in your chair. And then let your left hand just trail up by your ribs in front of your shoulder, by your ear there, and stretch the arm long coming into side stretch. Feel breath coming into the left ribs. And then we'll slowly come on back up and lower that left arm down. And let's tilt the head the other way. Left ear towards the left shoulder. And again, kind of let the weight of the head roll you down through your spine sideways. Again, it doesn't matter how far you go. And once you're there, let that right hand trail up by your ribs, in front of your shoulder, by your ear. And again, lengthen up through the side body here. Take your time. Enjoy. And then we'll come on back up, and we're going to come forward again. So let yourself release on forward. Take your time. Feel the feet flexing if you're cross-legged on the floor. Feel the outside edges of your feet coming down into the floor. And then we'll rise on back up again. And if you were cross-legged on the floor, we are going to switch. So bring your other leg in front. Take your time. Move about a little bit if you need to. And then let your arms come on out beside you here now. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to come forward here as well so that we wake up the front hip on this side. So take your time again to ease your way into your forward bend. And then come up enough to walk over towards your left. So you're just letting yourself come out over that thigh a little bit this time. You can go as far and deep forward as you want. And then we'll walk back through center and we're going to come over to the other side. And then we'll come on back into center again. And then heading our way on up. Let yourself release all the way back up. Fingertips onto the floor beside you here. Now let your shoulders soften down. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, let's twist to our left. Bring your right hand on around, maybe to your left knee, maybe to the midline. That's up to you. Lengthen up. Feel that sense of space in the back of your neck and throat. Now stay here in your twist. Take a nice inhale. And when you exhale, just turn your head back towards the right. So you come to look out a little more over your right shoulder. And then bring your chin down just a little bit to find just a little bit different stretch through the neck there. And now, on the next exhale, bring everything on back around into the front here, into center. And then take a nice inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to twist, bringing the left hand around to maybe your right knee, maybe to the midline. Let that right fingertips touch the floor or arm over the back of your chair. Good. Lengthen up on your next inhale. On your exhale, slowly turn your head to look over towards the left, like out over your left shoulder a little bit. And then once you start to lower the chin, you'll kind of know when you want to stop. Or you find a spot that feels really good to release your neck there. One more inhale. And let your exhale draw you on back around into center again. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. Clasp your hands together, turn your palms up, and press up into the heels of the hands. Try to let your shoulders soften down. And then in your own timing, just go a little bit side to side so that you just let yourself, and it doesn't have to be a really deep, low side stretch. It can be. If you want to go a little bit farther, do. Take your time. Just let yourself open up through the sides of your body here. Feel that sense of space between your ribs. And then make your way on back up with your hands up top. We're going to lower the arms on down beside us. And let's stretch our legs out in front of us. So even if you're in your chair, stretch your legs out. Bring your hands, arms forward too, and flex both your feet and your hands. Now, feel that sense of waking up the undersides of the backs of the legs and undersides of the arms. And then point your feet and let your fingertips face down. And then flex everything again. Really let yourself enjoy there. And then let the fingertips face down as you point through your feet. Look at your feet too. Just make sure that you're really pointing. Think about really reaching in between the big toe and the second toe. And then flex one more time. And then let yourself point the feet here. And bring the hands on down beside you. Flex your feet again. Sit in your staff pose just for a breath. Find all that space in your spine. And then we're going to release and come on around towards our hands and knees. So you know if you need to do anything here with stretching your legs out, do releasing around and grabbing blanket if you need. Letting yourself get comfortable however you have your hands. Whether they're fists or you're flat on your palms there. And then shift your hips a little bit side to side. If you can let your head hang to do. And just let the upper body respond however it wants as you just kind of shift your hips one way and then the other. Just very natural, easy feeling. And then come on back into center. Let your gaze come between your hands, and on your next exhale, draw on up into your cat pose. Now stay in your cat pose here for a second if you can. And then see if you can pick your left foot up, curl your toes under to put them on the floor, and then do the other foot. If this hurts your knees, don't do it, okay? It's pressing down into the hardness of the floor. It might bother some people's knees. And then reverse that process. Put the top of one foot back down, the top of the other one. Press into the tops of the feet as you move back through into your cow pose. So take your time, stay in your cow pose for a breath. Be easy. So if you need to be more neutral, do. And then just start to ease your way between your cat and your cow at your own speed. Take your time, move through either a little more quickly or a little more slowly, stopping if you need to in either one of the poses. Good. And then finish off the one that you're on. Come to more neutral spine. And then let's come on to our forearms. Let yourself just release down. Clasp your hands. Get your elbows just about shoulder distance apart. And let your hips just shift back a little bit. And depends on you, really. Let your heart melt down a little bit towards the ground. Just get out of your wrist for a second. Feel your shoulders. And then see if you can shift a little more forward. So now your shoulders are more over your elbows. And just gently press down into your forearms. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. Find that hollowing in your armpits a bit. And then let your heart melt down a little bit again. Good. And then we're going to walk back up to our hands so that we can step our left foot forward and our right foot back for our first lunge. So you know if you like to use your blocks, use them. Take your time, come on into that first lunge, feel your shoulders drawn down away from your ears. And see from here if you can come into a straighter front leg. Let your left toes lift up off the floor. Make sure you're not rolling, right? Look at your foot. And then see if you can spread your toes out a little bit. Make space between your toes. And then lower the toes gently back down. We're going to bend into that front knee and come on back into lunge. And then we're going to switch legs. So whether you like to step forward or back, coming into that right foot forward, however you need to switch. Feel the feet on the floor. Feel the feet gently pressing away from each other. Engage your belly. Make sure that front knee is right over the center of the foot there. And as we straighten that front leg out here, extend your torso out, lift your right toes all up off the floor, look at your foot, make sure you're not rolling. And then see, you can see if you can make space. You can watch your toes, see if they'll do it. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. And then let your toes release back down to the floor. Try not to grip, let the toes softly come down. And then we'll bend that front knee and find our lunge again. Now we're going to step forward and come on into standing forward bend from here. Whatever kind of support you need, use it. Hands on blocks, elbows above the knees. Let yourself be mindful. And if you come into forward bend and you feel the least bit of discomfort, use whatever you need for support so you're okay in your back. Let your knees bend for a second and imagine your sitting bones being right over your heels. And now you might want support under your hands. See if you can bend your knees and lift both your heels up. So you're on the balls of the feet here. And then see if you can straighten your legs up with your heels up off the floor. And then slowly lower the heels back down to the ground. And then lift both the heels up again. Here you are, up on the balls of the feet. See if you can bend your knees from here. And how deeply it goes up to you. You can kind of put your belly onto your thighs if you want. And now put your heels back down. Your knees are still bent. And then let yourself release into your forward bend. So if you want to come into straighter legs, do. Let's bring our hands up to our low back. Clasp your hands back there if you can. If you need support, don't do this part. One more full deep breath. And then we'll bend our knees, press into our feet. Keep your hands behind you as you rise on up to standing. Let the hands slide down a little bit. Feel that sense of space between your ears and your shoulders. Now rise your chin up for a second, just a little bit. See how that feels. And then bring yourself with your chin coming down a little bit. So that it becomes really easy then to bring your chin parallel to the floor where you feel that sense of length upward through the top of your head. And your hands are right back here to tell you if you're tucking your pelvis. So make sure you're not sending your tailbone forward and making the chest concave there. So let your tailbone reach down, engage your belly a little bit without the tailbone curling under you. And there's the secret to aligning your pelvis there. And then let your arms release on down beside you. Bend your elbows. Let your hands softly come to meet in front of your chest. Just let your pointer fingers come apart for a second and then let them reconnect when you exhale. And then inhale the middle fingers apart and exhale them back. And then inhale your ring fingers a little apart and exhale them back together. And then let your pinkies come apart as you inhale. And then exhale, slowly reconnect them. And now your thumbs just a little bit apart. Your exhale is going to reconnect. See if you can feel that connection through the hands now. And the same thing with your feet in the floor. Really feel those four corners of the feet into the mat. Unfolding our arms on down beside us here now. We're going to inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees and come forward into standing forward bend. On your next inhale, find a nice long flat back. Then we'll step the right foot back to come into lunge here. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So take your time. Come into that dog, moving however you want. Right? If you need to let your feet pick up one at a time and circle, if you need to walk, you might even want to come to the tops of the toes, 1 foot at a time, stretch your feet out. Any number of things, right? Whatever feels naturally good. Spread your fingers nice and wide though. Now feel how we did each finger there. See if you can do that same thing on the floor. Really just imagine being equal through your hands. Elbows hugging in. And on the next inhale, we'll come out towards a plank. Engaging the belly nice and strong. See if you can let yourself, you can lower your knees first if you need. Lower down as one piece. So if you need your knees down, do it. Try to keep those elbows in by the ribs. Release your arms down alongside your body. Turn your fingertips down to touch the floor. And on your next inhale, float your head and your legs up a little bit. An easy little locust. Doesn't have to be high. And just feel the back engaging. Open across your chest. And then release back down. Bring your hands out straight from your shoulders now. And bend your elbows and let the hands be right outside the edges of the mat on the floor. Elbows are up. And as you inhale, let your head and chest rise up a little bit. Your fingertips just give you a little support. One more breath. And then we'll release back down. Bring the hands all the way by your chest. And we're going to come on back into down dog. Whether you come through a half or a full push-up. Coming on back into down dog. Take a couple of breaths here in dog. Feel your back body. So imagine inhaling into your back ribs here. And then we will bring the right foot forward to find lunge. Now you can put your left knee down if you need to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend, feet right underneath us. Right to your breath. So feeling your inhales in and out through your nose. Feeling the coolness of the air as you inhale and the warmth as you exhale. And then we'll let our hands come back up to our hips. As we bend our knees, we'll rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's bring our left arm on top of our right. Give yourself a big hug. Whether you hold lower or higher is up to you. Let your chin come on down a little bit towards your chest and release your neck there. And then rise your gaze back forward. Now, whether you want to slip to half eagle arms or full eagle wrap is up to you. You can slide the back of your right hand towards the outside of your left elbow, or you can send the backs of your hands towards each other, or come into that full right fingers into the left palm and add that thumbs into the midline little twist if it feels good. Now, see if you can let your shoulders soften, but the elbows are just gently lifting up. So they're not coming right down to the chest. Elbows feel a little more parallel to the floor. One more breath. And then we're going to release and unfold the arms on down beside us. Let's inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll bring our right arm over our left to give that same hug at first. So again, where you hug is up to you. Again, chin coming down. Let yourself be mindful here. Now, think about your tailbone reaching down. Make sure you're not tucking your tailbone. And then sliding again the gaze back forward and heading either to that half wrap where the back of the left hand comes to the outside of the right elbow, or you can put left fingers into that right palm, and if you like that final twist of the thumbs to the midline, you can. Again, try to let the shoulders soften. So whether the elbows are really pretty much lower, upper arms parallel to the floor or not is up to you. You can be a little bit lower. Just be mindful. Let it feel good. One more breath. And then we'll release and bring our arms on down beside us. Let's clasp our hands behind us this time. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, bend the knees and come on forward. Parallel to the floor, please. Stay parallel to the floor if you can. Reach back through your tailbone. And then let your head just turn to look to the right. And let your head kind of stay in line with your spine. Come on back to look straight down. And then look over to the left. And then bring your gaze on back down. And now if you're okay on your next exhale to fold over your legs, do it. If your arms want to come off of your back, you can let them. Easy breaths here. And then we'll release our arms on down. Let your next inhale help you find that long back. And exhale, left foot back into lunge. In. Inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Good. So in your dog here, let your feet come a little closer together. We're going to lift the right leg up in the air into three-legged dog, staying as level as you can with your hips. Right toes face down. And then come on forward like you're doing plank and bring that right knee in and like it's coming in towards your chest. And then when you inhale, come on back out to the three legs. We're going to do that again. Bringing yourself on forward in towards that plank. And then inhale, stretching the leg back. We're going to put the foot down and we're going to switch. So left leg comes up, leveling those hips, toes facing down towards the ground. And as you exhale, come forward towards that plank. And as you inhale, lengthen back. So just really waking up the shoulders here. Again, letting yourself come on forward and then inhale, reaching back. Good, and then we're going to lower that foot down. We're going to come on out to plank from here. Take your time, lowering down, elbows right by the ribs. And we'll come into a little cobra. Now you can stay low or you can press on up. That's up to you. Coming into your back bend of choice. Elbows hugging in towards the ribs. And then from here, we're going to shift back towards pose of a child. Let yourself release back, so stretch your back out here. And then we'll shift forward to hands and knees and come on back into down dog. Take your time, walk a little bit if you need. And then we'll bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And all the way back into standing forward bend. Let your arms go right where you want. Right? If you like to hold your elbows or if you like to put your hands behind your legs or behind your head,
You know, if you like to clasp your hands and rest them at the back of your head, or behind, or under your feet actually too. Just be mindful, full deep breaths. Let your face go. Let your jaw be released. If you need to move your mouth around a little bit to do that, do. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips. Bend our knees, rising on up, and inhaling the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bringing our hands down together in front of our hearts. Moving with our breath here now. Let your inhale, rise your hands up through the midline. And on the exhale, open your arms like wings as you fall forward. Inhale into that nice long back. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Let your inhale bring you to plank. And let your exhale lower you down. And your inhale bring you into your cobra of choice. Exhaling back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising up to the top. And let your exhale carry you forward again. Let the inhale lengthen your spine. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale, down dog. Let your inhale bring you to plank. And your exhale lower you down. That inhale into that cobra, back bend of choice. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top. And on the exhale, coming forward. So let your inhale lengthen you out. We're going to come into dog. Place your hands, jump or walk your way. Spread your fingers, wag your tail. Really enjoy coming back to your breath. Let the breath settle down. And then once you're really set in your dog, see if when you inhale you can rise your heels way up. And when you exhale, lower them back down. So you're just letting your heels rise up when you inhale and lower back down when you exhale. And feel your feet. Enjoy feeling your arches, that movement through the feet. Good. And then come on back to full dog. Elbows hug in. We're going to bring that left foot forward. And we're coming up to warrior two, and we do want both our blocks handy here by the front. So lining up your heels here, getting that right foot, just the angle where you feel comfortable. Let yourself start to reach your arms up and let the hands come a little higher than your shoulders and flex them. And then lower the hands where you can look right there at the back of your left hand. Just admire the back of your hand. Press gently into the heels of your hand. And then slowly go ahead and let the palms face down. Reach out through the fingertips. Feel the feet pressing away from each other. And now let your right arm come down and fold it behind you so that your forearm comes onto your low back. Turn your left palm up. And inhale, reach up towards the sky. So breathing into that left side, you can reach a little behind yourself. You can go straight up. Feel the side waist here. One more breath. And on the exhale, come on into your side angle with your left hand or forearm onto your thigh. Look down. If you have your forearm there, you're right above your knee, turn your left palm up. Spread your fingers wide. Press into that forearm. Let yourself just look down. Keep looking down for a second. Release your neck. And now take the right arm and let the right arm come down and swing a little bit back and forth and back and forth. And then let the right arm come up by your ear. You're still looking down. Your pinky of the right hand faces down and your thumb is facing up. Now you're going to press into that forearm and open into that right side here, into your side angle. So turning the right pinky down towards the ground so your shoulders released away from your ear. Beautiful. One more breath. And now let your right hand come down to your hip. Look down again and take your left hand onto, for me, I like a block for triangle. You might want to put it on your leg, right? So start to look at your left knee as you straighten it out and extend your torso out over that left leg into your triangle pose. So here we are, looking down, easy for the neck. Now start to bring your gaze to where you look towards the long edge of your mat. You look forward and release into that long right arm, right up from your shoulder, palm facing out. Now, if you want to try to turn to look up, you can. If your neck doesn't like doing that so much, think about pressing your right hand forward, like you have a wall in front of your right hand. That might enable you to turn, because the turn comes a little more in the upper back instead of right in the neck there. One more breath. And then release to turn to look to the floor again. Bend that left knee. And we're going to come into a lunge here. Let yourself release into a lunge. And we're going to add a twist. Give us a little relief there. Left hand to the left hip. And rolling that left shoulder up. So you can do twisted prayer if you'd rather bring your right elbow across to your left knee. Or you can stretch your left arm up if you have your right hand grounded. Or you can keep your left hand down. So find a twist that feels good for you. And then we're going to release and come on back down into lunge, and we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose from here. Walk to the tops of your feet a couple of times. And if you are so inclined to do a back bend, you can come out for a vinyasa or kriya. You can come out to plank. You can go through chaturanga, coming down, and then to the up dog, or you can go from plank to up dog. So take your time. Do what feels really, put your knees down and rest if you need to. There is no right or wrong way, right? Nothing right or wrong about what you need to do right now. Good. And we'll meet back in down dog. From here, we're going to bring the right foot forward, and we're coming up again. Have your blocks handy. You know what's coming. Coming up for warrior two, lining up those heels. Get that alignment of that front knee. And let the arms come up. Flex your hands for a second. And then start to lower the hands to where you easily look right at the back of that right hand. And really feel like you're pressing gently into the heels of the hands. And then go ahead and let the palms face down. Reach out through both sets of fingertips. Feel the feet in the floor. Now, if possible, think about bending that front knee a tiny, tiny bit deeper. And imagine the outer right hip dropping down and back. And if you're like, I have to get a little longer, sometimes you can inch your toes a little forward and get your stance a little bit longer there, which might make it feel even better. And then we'll bring the left arm down, fold it behind us, right palm up, and inhale, reach up. Breathing into that right side. Good. On your next exhale, elbow or hand above the knee. Look down for a second. Let yourself turn the right palm up and press down into the hand or the forearm that's on the knee there. So if your hand is, obviously, it's your hand on your leg, right? Now from here, release that left arm to swing a little bit and kind of dangle back and forth. And then swing the arm up by your ear. Pinky faces down, thumb faces up. Now to open the whole left side of the body, press into that right hand or forearm and let yourself open up into your side angle here. Lengthening through both sides of the body. Good. And then let your left hand come down, look down at the floor, and bring your right hand for the triangle, the where you want to be, right? The height. You can stack blocks up if you want. Watch your right knee as you straighten it out and you extend your torso out over that right leg. And then turn your gaze. Let your left arm stretch up. And of course, from here it is up to you. You can stay right here. You can think of turning to look up again. If you press forward a little bit with that left hand, it might feel good to look up. One more breath. And then bringing the hand down. We're going to bend the front knee and come into lunge here. So letting your hands come whatever height you want. Use your blocks if you want to the floor. And then we'll bring our right hand to our right hip or left elbow across to that right knee if you want to do twisted prayer. And either letting yourself keep the right hand down onto your low back or stretching it up. Or of course, if you're in twisted prayer, Letting yourself find the length of your spine, whatever twist you're in here. And then we're going to release and come on back. And let's come on back into down dog. See if you can let dog be like a resting pose. And of course, if you don't feel that way, do what you need to do. You can come out, of course, and do vinyasas or kriyas. You can, if you like, move however feels good. Good. Put your knees down and rest if you need. Good. So, kneading back now. Coming on back into down dog. We're going to bring our left foot forward. And we're coming up for warrior one here. Have your blocks handy. Let yourself release on up. Bring your hands to your heart real easily. And look down for a second. Let your neck release. Check out the alignment of that front knee. And now, as you keep your gaze down, think about your back foot. You turned out maybe 20, 30 degrees. You feel the arch lifting up, all four corners of that foot down. And then go ahead and rise your gaze on forward. Let the hands come up through the midline. Now, if you want to keep them together and send your pointer finger up, do. If you need to separate your hands, do. And let yourself come on up into that lift in the front of the body. That ease of flowing down the back of the body. Almost imagine a waterfall, really, just flowing down the back of your body. One more breath. Feel that back foot in the floor. And then let your gaze come forward. Bring your hands back to in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And now lean forward with a nice long back. Let yourself just lean forward in your warrior one. It's not a big movement. And then we'll release our hands on down, and we're going to find lunge. Now, as you do, you may want to grab a blanket because we're going to lower the right knee down and come to the top of the right foot here, pressing into the top of the toes. And it's up to you if you want to lift up from here or not. You can stay down with hands on the blocks. You can bring your hands up to your thigh if you'd like to. You can, if you want, bring your hands to your heart or arms overhead. So be mindful. You know, if you're a little bit back on your knee rather than so far forward, just take your time. Make sure you're okay back there with your knee. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands on down. We're going to lift the back knee up, and we're going to walk around into a wide-legged forward bend from here. So letting yourself walk on around and adjust your stance, of course. Bend one knee at a time when you get ready, when you get really comfortable and how far apart your feet are, attempting to be pretty parallel with your feet. And then make your way into that place where you want to stay to be with your breath. Just really finding that place where you can let go in the upper body. In other words, using blocks under your forearms or your head, or letting yourself keep your spine extended that way if that feels better. And receiving those full deep breaths. One more nice, full, complete breath all the way in and all the way out here. And then we're going to walk ourselves out so we can walk back to the left foot and come back into lunge and back into downward facing dog pose when you're ready. So take your time again. Dog is whatever is optional from here. So come in for vinyasas or kriyas, putting your knees down, staying in dog. Maybe you just decide you want to come to plank and keep that core strength going. finish off so we can meet back in down dog. And from here, we'll bring our right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior one on the other side. So again, get your stance there, hands to your heart while you get your stance adjusted and the angle of that back foot adjusted. Let yourself just release here. Bring your gaze down for a second. Really feel that back foot in the floor. The arches lifting up back there. Four corners of the foot into the floor. Shoulders square. And then bringing your gaze forward. And let the hands rise up through the midline. Again, you can separate the hands. You don't have to clasp the hands and the pointer finger up. Bringing that gaze up a little bit if you can. Now, feeling that openness in the front of the left hip. So if you're rooted through that back foot, you can really feel even more openness through the front of the left hip. One more inhale up the front of the body. Exhale down the back of the body. And then bring your hands back down in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And lean forward a little bit now. Find that long line. So it's not a deep movement. It's just getting the whole back body in one long diagonal line there. Good. And then we're going to bring our hands on down. And let yourself find lunge. Again, you might need a blanket if you like to lower that back knee to the floor. And now you can be kind of up. The knee, you don't have to be shifting your hips way forward, right? If you think about bringing your hands up to your thigh and your hips are back, then that's better for you. Let that happen. If you can find a little more openness here, do. Pressing the top of the toes into the floor. Hands can come to your heart or arms can be overhead. Totally up to you. You can keep your hands on your thigh or your blocks. And then we'll release to bring hands down. Lift your back knee on up again into lunge. And we're going to walk around into that wide-legged forward bend again. So again, adjust your feet. Once you get kind of adjusted, walk your hands over to the left foot, towards the left foot. Doesn't matter how far you go. And breathe there. And then walk back through center and go over to the right. Again, doesn't matter how far you go. Get to where you're going and then just be with your breath. Come on back into center again. If you need to wiggle around a little bit more to set yourself up for your pose, do that. If you like to bring your hands back towards between your feet or turn your fingertips and walk way back behind yourself. Again, come to where you can be, where your back is okay. Imagine your inner thighs melting behind you. And be with your breath fully and deeply. And let your face release and your jaw go. Nice. One more breath. Fully in and out. And then we'll walk our hands back out. We're going to walk back to that right foot. Come on back into lunge. And make our way back into downward facing dog. And on your own, last vinyasas or kriyas if you want to do any more. Remember, take your time. If your shoulders bother you, don't do it. And especially don't come through that chaturanga, right? That can be really iffy for shoulders sometimes. Good. So finish off so we can meet back down dog briefly here. And then walk your feet a little wider on your mat and bend your knees and walk your hands back to where you either rest your elbows above your knees or send your hands between your feet and wrap them around the backs of your ankles or the outsides of your ankles. If you want to shift your hips down, do it. So if you want, you can shift hips down. You can let yourself come into a squat there with your hands behind your feet, or you can stay up, you know that, with your elbows above your knees. And if you're like, really, I just want to come down and do a squat with my hands together in front of my heart, go right ahead and do that too. So let your low back and your hips kind of determine where you need to go. Good. And then we're going to rise our hips back up and get our feet right underneath us. So come on into your standing forward bend. Let your toes lift up for a second here. If you can use your fingers to spread them out just a little bit, do kind of massage the toes a little bit too. Thank them for all they've just done. And then let your toes release on back down. We'll bend our knees, press into our feet. We're going to rise on up and inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Find your mountain pose however you need. If you need to sway around a little bit, if you need to adjust your stance, remember the tailbone dropping down. Remember that sense of the alignment that the body really wants to find. Hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. Bringing your gaze on easily out, whether your eyes are open or closed. And then let your arms come on down beside you. Man, move around a little bit. Shake it out. Walk around if you need to. We're going to bring our mats into the wall. So let your mat come on in to a wall. So you're here, you're there. Bring a block with you. In case you want it. You may not want it, but you might. And we'll put the block between as we put our left hand to the wall, between our foot and the wall. And for a second, even if you don't usually use a block in eagle, just kind of indulge me for a second. Cross your right thigh over your left. Put your toes or the ball of the foot on the block. Bend your left knee. And let yourself just use the block a little bit for support, right? Now, once you feel like, well, I can maybe stay here. I can maybe go a little lower. See if your hands can come to your heart, if you can bring your hands off the wall. Or bring your left arm on top of your right and do your eagle wrap. So just stay there for a second. Squeeze your thighs towards each other. Lift your pelvic floor. And now come on out of it. And we're going to turn around and do the other side. So it's kind of a warm-up in case you want to do full eagle in a second. Crossing the left thigh over the right. And then when you bend that right knee, that right thigh just goes right into the back of the left thigh. Right knee is out over the center of your right foot. And then again, you may decide hands to the heart is enough. Squeezing your thighs together. You might want to bring your right arm on top of your left or come into your half wrap or your full wrap. Feel the thighs squeezing. Let yourself feel that strength in your hips, your legs. Openness in your shoulders. We're going to come on back up. And then we'll turn on around. Now it's up to you where you go from here. Me, I've always liked eagle with a block. I'm not a real strong eagle balancer. If you're a wrapper and you like to wrap your right thigh on the top and send your right foot around and wrap behind your ankle or, below your calf, you might want to go ahead and come into a full wrap and you might want to balance, right? Or you may decide that you want to put your foot still on the block. Or flex the foot off the block, You don't have to do a full wrap to be in an eagle pose. It's a lot of work, even if you've got your foot on the block and even if you flex your foot and work a little strength there. Nice. And now come on up. And we're going to turn around to the other side. And sometimes, if you practice eagle a lot with a block like this, and sometimes you surprise yourself. Take your foot off the block and you go, oh my, I really feel strong enough to do this, right? So take your time, play with it a little bit, keep your foot on a block if you need, maybe kind of experiment. It is a tough balance pose. Good. And as you probably had about enough of that, come on out of it. Good. Turn on around. We're going to come down to the floor, and we're going to come into child's pose with our feet back towards the wall, okay? So let yourself come on down. Toes touch the wall. Release into child's pose that feels like a release to you, right? So not a pose where you're trying to work anything. You're really trying to let your hips and your low back release wherever is best for your shoulders. You can put your hands, your arms. Breathe into your low back. And then bring your hands on back. Come on up. And if you can stand on your knees, do it. Now you might want to grab a blanket. To be on your knees on the floor is too much for your knees. Put a blanket under them. If you don't like this, don't do it at all. Don't be on knees if it bothers you, all right? And then, one of my other least favorite poses is one of those days here. We're going to do a little camel pose, right? So, now, camel doesn't have to be so much that you dread it, which it often has been for me. So, if you can put your hands on your back. I'm going to turn around where you can see. Either with your fingertips down, like that, or fingertips up towards your waist. So your hands are kind of right here on the top buttocks, right? And then you can just imagine letting your gaze come up and making sure you're not shifting back with your hips, right? So you're trying to keep your pelvis, you're right over your knees here. It's like you're standing on your knees. Your knees have become your feet. And it doesn't have to be a really deep back bend to accomplish anything. Now I know some of you love camel. You like to reach back for your heels. You know, more power to you. You know, you can use blocks too. You put blocks back here. Some people putting their hands on the wall like this, arms overhead, feels really good. You know, that's another shoulder issue, right? Just play. It is a huge openness. You can even put your hands behind your head, right? Relax when you need to, because we'll go up and try it one more time, but let yourself release when you need to into your child's pose or just sitting forward a little bit. Okay, so like it or not, we'll do one more. So whether you want to put, again, blocks back here, I can't reach my other one, but you can put blocks back here, put your hands on blocks. You can let your hands come. You can even maybe get your head, top of your head to the wall. Send your hips forward a little bit. Support is a good thing. Oh my, you guys are a lot better in this pose than I ever feel. Come on out of it. Come down onto your forearms right away. Clasp your hands, send your pinky finger out. Don't even think about it. Lift up into dolphin with your heels up the wall. And that is a huge release after a camel pose. Press into your forearms. Take your time. If you need to come down because you're not at the right angle, do it. Come down. Press back up when you want. Lift the leg up if you want up the wall. So that's optional, you know. Bringing a leg up or walking both feet up the wall, totally optional. Come down and rest too when you need. You can go back up when you want, or you don't have to go back up. You can just stay resting however you choose to rest, child's pose or sitting with your head above your heart again. Good. And then finish off. Take your time to rest. If you're still up there and you need to finish something to even out your sides, do.
Good. And then let yourself release. We're going to come around to sitting, so depending on how you're resting, get yourself on up and around. And bring yourself into stretching your legs out in front of you. Now, we're going to come into a little forward bending and a little twisting. If you know sitting up on a blanket is better for you, let yourself sit on a blanket. And let's all bring our left leg over. Now, you can either do figure 4, so that you just cross your ankle above or below your knee. Or you can come into your half cow face so that you wrap your thigh so that you bring yourself, your knees almost into a line here, really, as you bring yourself into that half cow face. Either one of these is fine. Just let yourself enjoy. Sit up nice and tall. And then, see if you can look forward, all right? And bring your right arm up overhead, right arm. And then bend your elbow and let the hand come down. Left hand can either rest way low with your palm facing out. If even that bothers your shoulder, don't do it. Or you can send your hands towards each other a little bit if you'd like. Coming into wherever you can be. Taking your time here, coming into your cow face arms, your half cow face here. Keep your gaze forward to keep that hunching in the upper back out of the picture there. And then we'll release to bring our arms on down. Let's come forward just a little bit. Let yourself come on into, maybe you want to reach for your foot, maybe you just want to hold your knee or your shin. Just enjoy releasing here. Good, and then rise on back up. Take a nice inhale here at the top. And on the exhale, twist to your left. Let your left hand come behind you. Right hand can be on that left knee, or you can send the hand to the outside. Just really depends on where your leg is. Let yourself just release up through the top of your head. Think about release in the back of your throat. Length in the back of your throat. So you're not lifting your chin up. One more breath here. And now use your belly to come on back around into center. And we're going to switch legs. So right comes up to either crossing right ankle above or below the knee, or crossing over, and I forgot to say on the other side, that underside long leg can come across the midline to get yourself thigh over thigh. And let yourself just enjoy sitting up tall here. And then we'll release the left arm out and up overhead. Bend the elbow again. Let yourself release upward through the top of your head as your right hand comes behind. Face your palm out. If that bothers your shoulder, don't even do that. And of course, if you want to send your hands closer together on your back, you can. It's up to you. Depends on you and your shoulders. Keep your gaze forward. See if you can imagine lifting your pelvic floor a little bit here. And then we'll release and let our arms come down. Let's come on forward. Again, it doesn't matter how far you come. Let yourself come from your low back feeling coming forward, right? So you're not just rounding into the upper back. And you can go as far as feels good. Reach your foot if you want to. Bring your hands beside your leg or onto the top of that leg. And be with your breath, watching those breaths in and out. And now slowly bringing ourselves on back up. Take an inhale here at the top. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our right. Right hand behind us. Left hand again, wherever feels good for you. Let yourself feel that length in the back of your throat again. One more breath. Use your belly to come on back around into center. Stretch your legs on out there.
Move through a little bit through your feet and your ankles. And now, get your blocks. I'm going to turn my mat back to the side, but take your blocks and you're going to put your blocks close to your feet so that you have your blocks lowest height on your mat down here. And then we're going to put our feet on them, and as you come to lay on your back, we're going to lift up into bridge with our feet on these blocks. So you'll know kind of when you get down whether you're in the right place or not. You know, you might have to shift around to get farther from the blocks or closer to them. You'll know even more when you lift up, of course. I kind of like to be a few inches from the block with my hips myself. So feet are still parallel, a little bit wider than they are in mountain. Bring your arms down alongside you. And then bend your elbows. Press into the backs of your arms. Feel your chest rise up and your spine come off the floor. And then go ahead and lift up. Once you get up, you'll know. Again, if it's too much, that you're too close or too far with your feet from you, come down and readjust. You know, the fun thing about the blocks is you can maybe then put your hands underneath your low back to support you. You know, if that feels good, you can put your hands up and kind of give yourself support, lifting up a little higher. But don't do that if it's too much, obviously. You can come down if you want. If you're like, I do not like the blocks, don't use them. Come down and go back into your bridge pose without the blocks. Come down when you want. If you feel like you'd like to try a full upward facing bow pose, a back bend, then by all means, come down and take your feet off the blocks, of course, and bring your hands above your shoulders. So be mindful of what sounds really good to you right now. And if you don't want to do any more bridge, you always come down whenever you want. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Take your time. So once you have come down, if you're headed down now, just be mindful. Let yourself move the blocks out of the way. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Circle or just let the knees come side to side if you want. And you know, some people, I mean, that's a pretty deep bridge pose. Some people, a happy baby pose feels really good. And some people, that's even a little too extreme after bridge pose. So follow your own body right now. There could be any number of things that sound good to you. You know, you may feel like that you want to come into a twist here from this bridge. You may want to let yourself come into another hip opener, Baddha rather than your happy baby. But take your time. I'm going to start to move around and look and see here in the studio. Anybody who feels like they would like some support, I will bring it. Bolster, same thing at home. If you need something under your knees to give your back release, go right ahead and either bolsters work, rolled up blankets if you don't have a bolster at home. You can even use your blocks underneath your knees to give them support. Take your time. Let yourself just watch your breath here now, easily in and out. And as you start to feel the breath quieting your mind, letting your body as well relax. Just keep returning your awareness to your breath. Even when you go off into thinking, keep returning to that wave of your breath, that
in and out, whatever helps you, so that you can give yourself these few minutes to completely and fully relax. fully and deeply. Take your time. Let yourself appreciate the ground cradling you a little bit longer. Letting your body start to move extremities and leaning on into your arms and legs when you're ready. Move the way that feels good. And you know you're welcome to roll to either your right or your left side anytime, if that's good for you, to bend your knees. Be in a soft fetal position, do. Just take your time. When rising to sitting sounds like a good idea, just be easy. Float your way up. Let your eyes stay closed if you can when you do hit up to sitting, so that you can stay internally focused and let yourself sit the way is comfortable. Doesn't matter whether you stretch your legs or sit on a blanket or cross your legs. Just be easy and lengthen up. Find that sense of space in your spine, lightness in your head. Feel your shoulders really nice and released down. It's almost like you're supported by the central column of your spine. And on your next exhale, let your hands gently come to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Tuesday. And February. Month day.